Hello, friends, and welcome to the Hurry Up, or maybe this is the Hurry Up and Wait episode of the Hurry Up, because there's a lot of stuff that people are going to be anticipating for a long time to come after that season.
Definitely that time of year where it's a lot of like hurry up, figure out everything that we want to wrap up from the season, look forward to what's coming. But in that time of year where you kind of don't really know what time of the season it is, but that's the exciting part. It means we got a lot to recap, a lot to look forward to. Let's start with a recap.
No doubt. I mean, ordinarily you wouldn't be excited about a 5-12 season, but considering where the Carolina Panthers were a year ago and the way they finished that season, winning 2 out of their last 3, and the way they did it, I think there's a lot of excitement about this team. I mean, and it begins with Bryce Young.
For sure.
You know, a guy who 2 games into the season was benched, probably doesn't get back on the field if not for a car wreck that Andy Dalton's involved in, and thankfully everybody was okay. But without that, who knows how this ends up? And Bryce is dealing coming down the stretch.
2 out of 3, and something else, 3 out of 4 in overtime, which really kind of emphasizes Canales' whole message about finish. But what a turnaround for Bryce Young. It's been so much fun to watch. Bama Bryce, as Trevin Wallace calls it, sort of coming out, and a little bit extra something, and realizing that he can do this on this level and do it well.
Right.
He's, you know, I think it was David Moore who said the other day, he's like a point guard out there. Mm-hmm. He's just, because he threw to 9 different receivers in that overtime win versus the Falcons. 9 different guys. None of them were really who we thought he would have at the beginning of the season either. But he found guys, he made it work. He was a point guard out there. See that little bit of basketball in his background coming back out.
And not just any point guard. He's turned into Steph Curry here in front of our eyes. The guy throwing the ball, turning around, throwing up the signal before Tommy Tremble had even caught it.
Yeah.
As Tommy said after the game in Atlanta the other day, that's what ballers do. And that's what Bryce is channeling right now. You see the fun, you see the excitement in him, and it's carrying over to everybody on the roster.
Yeah, guys want to play for a guy like that. Mm-hmm. Guys want to make catches. Guys go above and beyond. I think about that that little dump down he threw to get a first down. It was like an 11-yard dump down to Felipe Franks, where Felipe, I think it was his first NFL catch, sort of just went over and beyond and flipped, and he might could have kept going. But, you know, making those sort of catches. We're seeing Adam Thielen make highlight-worthy catches, or, you know, season's over. We were seeing Adam Thielen make highlight-worthy catches every week. You're seeing Xavier Legette learn to, you know, catch with his hands a little bit more than his body. We saw the receivers sort of elevate their game. Bryce elevated it to it, and now he's elevating theirs. Basically, rising tides raise all ships.
Yeah, no doubt. And again, I think it's important to remember in Week 18, you're out there without Rob Hunt, your prize free agent who played a high level of guard this year. You're out there without Chuba Hubbard, who became kind of the face of this offense in the middle portion of the season when they gave him the long-term contract extension. And now you can kind of see there's something cooking on offense. I mean, there's obviously going to be changes. There are changes every offseason. But the Carolina Panthers like where they're at offensively right now. And if you think back to where we were in last January or August and September, and especially in mid-September, you know, when things got weird after the first couple weeks, this is not a place anybody expected.
And it makes you excited if you're a Panthers fan about what Dan Morgan and this front office could do on defense this year. They saw where the deficiencies were on offense last year. They went out, they addressed them. And then combine that with the coaching that sort of helped guys along as the year went on as well. You saw offense completely raise the bar on their game. Makes you think, what can this front office and this coaching staff do with defense in the offseason?
Dan Morgan last year looked at this roster. What's the biggest problem? Couldn't protect Bryce Young. They gave up 65 sacks last year. Spent a bunch of money on Rob Hunt and Damian Lewis, and all of a sudden the protection got better. Imagine that. And they ran the ball well. So cutting that to, you know, Bryce was only sacked 29 times this year instead of 62. He likes that a lot better. So with that kind of work done on offense, now the focus is going to turn to the other side of the ball. You know, Dan said it the other day after Dave Canales said Ejiro Avero's coming back as defensive coordinator. Dan Morgan basically walked in, raised his hand, and said, I got to get him some better players. The good news is they start with, you know, when the run defense sets the kind of records you're not necessarily proud of, what you need is a big 330, 340-pound dude who gets 100 tackles a year. Oh, they've got one of those. Derek Brown's coming back next year. Derek said the other day he's feeling good, hopes to be back out on the field in OTAs after going down in week 1 with that knee injury that caused so many trickle-down problems for this defense. So Derek coming back's a big first step, but Dan basically said, I got to go get more players. I got a feeling this offseason is going to be all about restocking that front seven.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason in that regard, too. You and I were looking at the list of free agents the other day. A lot of more veteran, older players, not necessarily guys going on to their second contract. So you can have some experience in that room. And then I love where they're picking at number 8 in the draft. And we're kind of putting the cart before the horse here. But a lot to look forward to, because it's not, you're not high enough to know for sure who it's going to be. You're still high enough to get a really, really quality franchise-changing player.
It's off-season, and it's a different kind of off-season for us because there is some stability. That was the big takeaway from Clean-Out Day on Monday, is guys are like, hey, we're excited to come back because now you can build on something year after year, because you know the coach, you know the GM, you know the quarterback are going to be back next year. And now that, compounds like interest. You're able to build year over year with this thing, and guys are excited to be a part of it.
And you have those 3 guys, those 3 big pieces, not only all in the building and not having to start anew on either one of them, on the same timeline.
No doubt.
A GM, a coach going into their second year, a quarterback going into his third year, kind of his second in the system. That's an exciting little window to see what they can do here with that stability.
Right. We're not talking about coaching searches this offseason, but we're going to be talking about 2 Hall of Fame finalists, Luke Kuechly and Steve Smith, coming up between now and the Super Bowl. We're going to be talking Senior Bowl, East-West, all the pre-draft stuff, big free agency, big draft season. We'll have it all for you here at Panthers.com and the Hurry Up.